Now, what are these projects about? In PlastiCircle, coming to an end this month, 20 European organizations joined forces to reinvent the way plastic packaging is treated. And the project rolled out innovations in waste collection, transport, sorting, and recycling in the 3 pilot cities, in Alba Iulia in Romania, in Utrecht, Netherlands, and in Valencia in Spain. And today, later, we will hear from Valentina Voinica, who was responsible for the pilot in Alba Iulia, and from Mireia Calvo from the Itene Research Center. And that's about the PlastiCircle project. And then there is the CityLoops project, which has 7 European cities: Apeldoorn in Netherlands, Bodø, Norway, Michele in Finland, Porto in Portugal, Seville in Spain, and Oyetastrup and Roskilde in Denmark, who are implementing a series of demonstration actions to close the loops in bio-waste and construction and demolition waste. And this project has just ended the preparatory phases, and the cities are now starting implementing the tools and measures they have developed. So it will be very exciting to see what type of tools and measures have they developed regarding bio-waste and construction and demolition waste. And this project will end in 2023, so there are still some years to come. And it will be very important, therefore, to hear also your comments, questions, to make this an exciting project and to understand what the actions are. And from CityLoops, we will hear from Kimo Happer, a demonstration manager in construction and demolition waste for the city of Michele, and from Kating Dietz, a colleague of mine from ICLE, officer at the Sustainable Economy and Procurement team at ICLE, who will explain the CityLoops replication approach. But before you get too comfortable in your seats and lying back and hearing for the things to come, we prepared a short poll for you, just to understand a bit where you come from and to get an overview of the participants here. I must say that we have almost 90 registration, which shows there's a lot of interest. And so I'm looking forward to a good discussion. I pass on to my colleague, Jon Jonowski, who will lead you through the polls. On to you, Jon.
Yes, I will now open the polls. They are very introductory polls with some very introductory questions, just to see what kind of people we have in this meeting. So I can now launch them. Do you all see the polls now, right? I will give you 2 or 3 minutes to finalize the polls.
At least I cannot see the poll yet.
You cannot see the poll.
I can see it.
Okay, the important is. How's it going, Jon? Most participants have they?
Most participants have voted now. I will end the poll in about half a minute.
Suspense.
Yes. So we have now stopped polling, and I will share the results with you, and you will see that we have a nice and very diverse group of people in the audience today. We have some from local government, some from research institute, people from the civil society organizations, people from businesses, and they have also a good understanding of circular economy. It's nice to see that no one here is new to the circular economy, and that some of you have solid background, some of you are experts, and some have some basic knowledge, which we hope we will learn more about the circular economy today. Most of you want to attend this session for knowledge building, which is great. That's why we have created these sessions. And you have also a diverse interest in the waste streams that we will cover today. In plastics, most of you are interested in plastics, but construction and demolition waste is also represented well, with 29% of you interested in that. And now I will stop sharing the results and will give the word to Peter again.
Thank you, John. And thank you all for filling in this poll, so we know a bit more who is in the call and what your interests are. Then on to the speakers. To all speakers, please make sure you stick to the time limit of 10 minutes each, so that we have also time for some discussion and questions. And without further ado, I pass on to the first speaker, which is Valentin Voinica from the city of Alba Iulia in Romania. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. You see my presentation? Everything is okay?
Yes. You put it on full screen.
I'm trying to. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. So I will present briefly a project who is coming to its end soon. It's PlastiCircle, and is dedicated to circular economy of plastics, especially of packaging, and you will see why. First of all, a brief summary about the project, what we have done during the pilot in Alba Iulia, technical implementation, and some of the results. The EU problem is that at this moment, we have low quantities collected, low quality because the plastic is mixed, and usually in homes you can find at least 8 different types of plastics. So recycling is not so simple. And the third one is trying to use the recovered plastic on high value new products. So the PlastiCircle is covering with solutions or the main pillars, the 4 pillars of circular economy: collection rate, transport, automatic sorting, and preparing high value products from recycled plastic. Each of those pillars was addressed with different solutions, innovative solutions. During the pilots, we were involved in collection and transport, and our colleagues used our results for automatic sorting and high-value products. About the project, we are 20 partners united by Horizon 2020 projects, and the pilot cities are in Valencia, Utrecht, and Alba Iulia. So we are talking about different cities with different existing solutions on waste management. Romania, it's a particular case because we are focusing, and you will see why, on relevant behaviors regarding circular economy. That's why in Alba Iulia, our accent was put on online and offline communication and activities with citizens to test innovative solutions that include smart containers and new transport solutions, and to receive, of course, feedback and gather data from the project. Alba Iulia, it's much smaller compared with Valencia and Utrecht. Our system traditionally used 2 different fractions, and the legislation and our actual project will have 4 different fractions, including glass and paper, for example. Our containers are quite small, just 1.1 euro containers, and trucks are using rear loading. This is a pilot area. It's quite a central area. It's not very big. It's about 500 meters per 550. We decided to go in a very dense area full of blocks and a lot of citizens. And our objectives was to test about 20 smart container. So we decided to go for this area, Goldish Arnsberg. As a conclusion, it wasn't an easy area because streets are very narrow and sometimes truck has difficult access. And also we had to put some extra transmitters for receiving signals from the containers. But we managed to do it quite well. We also have to adapt the level sensors from Valencia to our different containers and adapt the platform for that. This is a container prepared to be placed in location. You see that we used big labels, A2, in order to explain citizens how to use a container, which also has a labeling device together with an RFID card reader that allow us to see the quantity of plastics and also to identify based on label the user ID 4-digit in order to characterize quantity and quality of the waste. About the receivers, you see here the minimum coverage ensured by 11 transceivers. They receive a signal from container on LoRaWAN and send data to IoT platform in Valencia using 3G. And this is a CAN bus device. I don't insist because my colleague Mireia will present more in this area of transport. So about results, considering the difficult environment condition and social condition, COVID restrictions, we have to postpone the project with 3 months in order to start. We finally had 254 participants representing over 576 citizens. And you see a graph below. You see that in the first step, we used just online and results weren't very successful. After that, we used Facebook ads. And in the middle of the pilot, we used an info kiosk with very good results. So we had to change all the materials in order to explain correct recycling and to address as much as possible citizens. In terms of characterization, you see a huge difference between pilot users and non-pilot users, and also in the composition of the general waste, which was characterized during the pilot. You see here some results about the composition of the waste, and you see clear the difference on total waste, much more plastic in the pilot phase. Here you have some conclusions. Mireia will present also a comparison with Valencia. In Alba Iulia, the pilot area is quite small, and we obtained about 12% reduction in consumption and pollution. Some eco-driving also results can be improved on longer routes. And finally, we received a lot of data and feedback from our citizens. The project received over 75% positive opinions. People are involved in sorting, want more such activities, and to implement the pilot at full city scale. So I try to keep inside 10 minutes if it's possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Valentin. And thanks a lot for sharing this good practice from Alba Iulia. Sure, there might be some questions, but that will come later.
If we manage to implement it during COVID restrictions, everybody can implement it.
I can imagine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I pass on to Mireia Calvo from the ITENE Research Center from Valencia in Spain, who will talk about the PlastiCircle's collection and transport phases. Mireia, on to you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, now it's perfect.
Okay, so I will go more in detail about the technologies used in these two phases in collection and transport. So we will see the collection and transport technologies, then the replicability, which benefits we obtain, and then if you want to get more information regarding the PlastiCircle project. So the collection used two different technologies in PlastiCircle project, the smart containers and the compensations to the citizens through rewards. So we implemented a reward system. You can see the scheme on the left of the screen. The first step was the registration of the citizens. For this, we need a huge campaign in the cities in order to engage the citizens to participate in the pilot activity. During this registration, the citizens obtain a NFC card or a key ring that they must use when they use the smart container in order to throw away their plastic bag waste and the identification module. Then these bags are selected randomly and they are characterized in order to check the quality of the packaging waste produced at home. And then through these individual characterizations, the citizens receive a score, and then this score can be changed by rewards. So in order to implement this reward system, we use the smart containers. You can see here the Alba Giulia container and the Valencia container, and the labeling system is on the right of the container. Here we have zoom in, and the citizens what need to do is to press the button, pass through the red point, the card or the key ring, and then they take a label. You can see here an example, and stick this label in the packaging waste bag, and then throw it to the container, plastic packaging container. This smart container has also a filling level sensor. It was in Valencia pilot, it was implemented in 25 containers. This filling level sensor, the communication is through GPRS, and the data is collected every hour, but sent it every 4 hours. Then the labeling system has their own communication module that is through LoRa, as Valentina explained before, and the information that that is sent by LoRa is the user identification, the label code that the identification module extracted, the date and the time that this container, smart container, was used, the number of the device that is sending the signal, and the number of the node from the communication. And this information that we are collecting from the smart container and we are collecting from the filling level sensor is sent to an IoT platform that manages all the waste management system. Now we are looking to the characterization protocol that we talked. Once the citizens threw away their plastic bag to the plastic packaging container, these bags are collected randomly, and there is a protocol that each bag is checked in order to assign some score or other score. The first step is to see if the bag is full. The second one is to open this bag and see if inside if the items that are inside the bag are packaging waste or there is some unwanted material. The packaging that is in the bag should be empty. The packaging should not be stacked, and the bottles should be compacted. If these are the good way that we compensate to the citizen. There are another activities that the citizens can get more scores. That is the use of the container. They also receive some surveys related to the project, the recycling that the citizens should answer. There are also social media challenges and webinars and trainings in order to know how to recycle at home and how to use the smart container. All these activities provide a score points to the citizens that can be exchanged by rewards afterwards at the end of the pilot activity. Now let's move to the transport part, that it is based on the route optimization, eco-driving, and the IoT platform. The route optimization is based on the filling level sensor. We have the IoT platform receive the filling level of its container, and through an algorithm, we select which containers we are going to collect and which not. We are going to select the containers that are full. So based on those containers, the optimized route will be calculated every time. Then we have also a driving guidance, a eco-driving system that sends alarms to the driver while he is driving the truck, and it measures the revolution of the engine, the acceleration, the speed, and depending, the co-driving send alarms to the driver in order to get efficient driving and reduce fuel consumption through this system too. As I said, all the information collected by the smart container, but also the information collected by the transport is collected in IoT platform. You can see here some screenshots of the IoT platform related to the eco-driving and the truck traceability. We have developed also apps for eco-driving and route optimization in order to make the use easier for the drivers. The filling level sensors graphs that are sent to the IoT platform, but we also developed a website for the registration of the citizens and EcoPoints application that the citizens can check which are the challenges, if they have surveys, and the number of points that they have during the pilot. And also the platform can manage the reward assignment to its citizen. Here you can see, for example, the speed of one of the routes that the truck took in Valencia. Here is further information. So we have connected to the truck an OBD reader or CAN bus that is connected through Bluetooth to the apps that we developed, the eco-driving one and the route optimization, and all the information collected is sent to the IoT cloud platform. You can see here on the right an example of the Valencia route, and how the different colors on the route are where the eco-driving send an alarm to the driver in order to reduce the speed or whatever that he is not being correctly. So what information that we collect here, the GPA's position, the speed, the revolution per minute, the engine load, the fuel consumption, the excessive idling, when one container is being empty. Here you can see the results of the transport in Valencia. You can we compare the distance travel, the time travel, and the fuel consumption. And as you can see, before the pilot without route optimization, the numbers are higher. The optimized route is collecting all the containers in the pilot area, and the skipping containers is collecting only those containers that are full and skipping the containers that are empty. We obtain a reduction up to 34% in distance travel, 28% in time, and 80% in fuel consumption. Now, how can we replicate this? So we need to make some steps before the implementation. We should, we should select the stakeholders that need to be involved. In this case, probably it is waste manager, local authorities, industrial and tech partners, citizens, of course, and also maybe transport companies. Then we have a planning step and finance and inception that here we need to check the governance designation, which are our goals, what we want to achieve, which are our KPIs, how are we, which technology are we going to use, and how are we going to implement it, and a cost-benefit analysis in order to forecast which are the benefits that we are going to obtain implementing these technologies in our city. Then we need a political approval and stakeholders engagement. We need the political commitment and to obtain the support of the intermediaries and the stakeholders needed, the public participation and the engagement of the citizens, and also train these citizens in order to use correctly the technologies that we are going to implement in the containers and the surveys and the web that we are going to use. Then is the implementation step, the fourth step, that is to take the plan that we have organized in the steps before. And the last step is monitoring and the progress evaluation. That is to check if we have achieved the goal setting, check and assess the monitoring and evaluate the results, and make internal and external communication and reporting. So, and focusing in PlastiCircle, what we need? For collection, we need the identification model. It is adaptable to every container. And as I explained, is easy to use. Then the installation of filling level sensor that will feed the route optimization later in transport. The communication system with, in this case, is with LoRa, but it can be with another type of communication. And the citizen engagement and training of the citizens. For transport, we need to install in the truck the CAN bus and the Bluetooth. We need to install also the two applications for eco-driving and route optimization. And we need to train the drivers to use the apps and the transport system that we are implementing. Which are the main benefits? That we have a new collection, transport, and sorting technologies that benefits the environment, reducing the fuel consumption, the time, and the distance that we are traveling. We get also more quality in the plastic bags collected, and the material of plastic is with more quality, so we can get more recycling materials, and we reduce the landfill and incineration and reduce the use of virgin material, plastic virgin material. Here there is more information related to the project, and that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mireia. Indeed, a very smart system. And I see we already have a question also for you that I pose you directly to you from Fiona Wu, CSCP,
Okay.
about the scale of the reward system. Approximately how many residents were living in the area covered by the pilot? How many people were targeted?
Mm-hmm. With the Valencia pilot, we achieved to 500 families, that it was around 1,500 people. The area was bigger. I think that it was around 10,000 inhabitants, more or less. And in Alba Julia, Valentin can get the numbers better than me.
Thank you. I see also there's this question about the tech platform. Was that developed by your own or used did you use a party platform? Is it the same across the 3 projects part of this platform? Would like to answer this.
Yes, we developed our own platform for PlastiCircle project, and it is for PlastiCircle, but this platform collects all the parts of PlastiCircle, the citizen involvement, the smart container data, and also the transport data. So this is the common point of all the system that we have implemented, and it is the point that we can manage everything.
Thanks. And from František Vosexi, do you plan to expand this personal plastic sorting to the whole city of Valencia?
Sorry, repeat, please.
Are you planning to expand this pilot to the whole city?
We are in conversations with Valencia City because we present the project. They are aware that we have tested in one area in San Marcelino in Valencia, and they are very interested, and we are talking with them in order to try to scale up the project and try to implement it. Let's see what happens finally.
Thank you so much. So that means that in both cases, the pilot cities continue after the project. And I mean, you answered already. How is the situation in the Alba Iulia, Valentin?
Well, we had a lot of data, and we saw quite big interest from specific people in the pilot area. Yes, one of the questions is when we are going to scale it. And it's a good opportunity because this month we will have a nearby new integrated management system and a new biological compound preparation system, a new eco waste dump, and a new local operator. So conclusions coming from PlastiCircle will be definitely integrated in our common project at full city scale.
Thank you. You also mentioned COVID, and there would be also be interest and curiosity. I mean, you mentioned that thanks to your system, you reduced the waste, plastic waste to 12%, if I understood correctly. Do you think now with due to COVID-19, there's the whole plastification, let's say, about the food. Without that, do you think you would have reduced it much more, let's say, in normal times? Or how much did that impact?
Well, Mireia mentioned something about small rewards. In the welcome kit, we used recycled products. And one of our activities is how to use, for example, bags made from recycled plastics and so on. So one was including such an activity to reuse and to diminish the quantity of plastic waste, and with interesting results.
Thank you. Then a last question to both of you. What would be, according to you, the best sort of funding for cities and stakeholders that are interested in implementing some of the project phases?
Mm-hmm. So there are, as far as I know, there are some European funds and also national funds that can be used for this. For example, in Spain, there are some funds that are in focus and addressed to make the cities more intelligent. So these national funds can be used, but also nowadays there is European funds for recovery after the COVID crisis. And these funds that the European Commission is launching now, they have some budget allocated to fight the climate change and modernization and make the cities more sustainable. So I think that this is a good opportunity that cities can take in order to implement this kind of projects and make the cities more modern, as the Recovery Fund says, and goes through the sustainability of Europe.
Just to add, you can also combine the system tested in PlastiCircle with smart city platforms. one of our conclusion is that it's very easy to integrate it in a smart city using a city LoRaWAN system, the smart containers. So according to the digital agenda of the EU, there will be a lot of funding regarding smart city and digital administration implementation. So waste is definitely a priority.
Well, thank you, Valentin. Thanks both for your excellent presentations and inspiring examples. And looking forward how this unfolds and how you upgrade them and expand them. And if other cities get inspired by your actions. Being mindful about time, I would like to pass on then from PlastiCircle to CityLoops. And remember, towards the end, we will have a bit more time, hopefully, for further discussions. So I would like to pass on the floor to Kimmo Harpia from the city of Mikkeli, Finland, who will talk about CityLoops, decision-making, tools and measures implemented, and present the business case. Kimmo, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Can you hear me?
Yes, all is good.
Yes, classic. Okay, so I have 10 minutes, right? Yeah. Okay, so I will tell you a little bit about CityLoops actions in Mikkeli, which is located in the quite southeast of Finland. And if you share these PowerPoints, there are some web links attached to this presentation, so you can go and see how Mikkeli looks like. CityLoops started in October 2019 and will last till September 23. And here in the map you can see the different partners participating in CityLoops, and I move this a little bit. So we are here in southeastern Finland, and there are partners from different parts of Europe. We are concentrating in two main waste streams, namely the construction and demolition waste, or shall I say nowadays construction demolition materials, and the biowaste, which is called organic waste as well. And in Mikkeli, we are operating CityLoops by ourselves, Mikkeli Development Miksei, where I am working, and this is a city-owned company, non-profit company, but a limited company anyway. And the other partner with a similar share of the project is the Southeastern University of Applied Sciences, referred to as XAMK. And then we very closely operate and work with our stakeholders, which I will represent later. CityLoops is divided in different phases. There is the preparation and inception phase, which ended in March this year, and the demonstration phase is going on right now, and it will last till spring of 23. And then there is the replication phase, which is going to start, and Caitlin is going to tell you more about this. I'm first going to talk to you about work package 2, which is the construction and demolition waste, and then a little bit about work package 3, which is organic or bio waste. So we have different instruments or tools or measures with which we are developing the CityLoops idea in Mikkeli. And the idea is pretty much closing the loops of waste streams and make it circular. Anyway, we are working with the guidelines for planning and decision making. It's very important when you decide whether the building is going to be demolished or is it going to some other use. There are many schools, children daycare homes, and and other places which are running out for the technical use time, and City of Mikkeli is considering whether it is going to demolish them or take them to the other use and have some renovation for this. Okay, then very big interest in our area is the business case development. How can we develop circular economy business, move from linear economy to circular, and create new business in our area, which would bring more welfare and also tax income to the area. LCA, life cycle assessment, is also in our work package. And very important part is the screening procedures and tool for selective demolition. When the building has been decided that the building is going to be demolished, then the screening of the buildings and the reusable materials in that, it is very important part of the process. Then we are testing the 3D modeling tool, which is a drone-based tool. I will talk you a little bit about that later. And finally, to share all these materials, all these good materials which are demolished from the buildings, to share them to the new users, new market, we have developed a digital marketplace and data bank to support that marketplace. This is our first demolition object, demonstration object, old health center built in 72, and it is right now being demolished. It was taken out of use in 2015, so it has been empty for too long time. Demonstration case 2, building 2 is an old hospital, a side hospital in the city of Mikkeli, which was built in 64, and it will be demolished. The demolition will start next week in May. And this has been in use until 2010, so it's been empty for 11 years, which is very long time. It's not, as we all know, it's not very good to have buildings empty. They gather some inhabitants which don't belong there anyway. These photos have been taken this week and last week from the health center. So as you see, the stripping of materials has been going on, and the big demolition has started yesterday. I was there watching it. We try to separate all the waste materials as well as possible, and take them separated to the waste management center, and then we examine how to get them to the further use, to reuse or circulation. Just go to have some minutes left. So guidelines for planning and decision making, we are developing these with monthly meetings with the stakeholders, and we also organize workshops where the stakeholders are strongly involved. And we also bring some people from other parts of Finland to take part and tell what's going on, for example, in Helsinki, what they have done to this issue. Then business case development, we are concentrating pretty much for the big masses, for example, concrete reuse and bricks reuse, and we are exploring new business opportunities, and we are sharing them and discussing them in workshops with the business owners and students, and also teachers and other stakeholders. Business model development is in very big role in this area. This one I will skip. Okay, this is the 3D tool. I think it might be of some interest. With the drone imaging, we can make accurate 3D models of sites, and then we can make calculations. As you see in the upper left corner, calculation has been made with algorithmic programming, and the masses, you can calculate pretty exactly how much is the cubic meters, and then you can calculate the tons from this object. This is not in regular use. We are testing its use, and maybe later. But this technique has been in wide use in excavations. We have the digital marketplace for recovered materials, and to support it, XAMK has developed a data bank, which is gathering metadata and data from the drone imaging, for example, to the data bank, and these data is also transferred to the digital marketplace. The marketplace is, of course, to connect the demand and supply of the materials. This is the front page of the marketplace. Here you can see the web address. It's kiertoon.fi. It's https kiertoon.fi. So you can go and check how does it look like. It doesn't have very much material right now. I'm sorry for that, but we are working on this issue. And then there is the Mikkeli squad who is working. There are people in the project, people from Mikkeli and XAMK, and also the stakeholders, the most important stakeholders. I'm the ugly man in the middle there. Stakeholders in this construction demolition waste issue are of course the city of Mikkeli is the main stakeholder. It's our owner and owner of the buildings, of course. Then the local recycling center, demolition contractors, of course, state authorities, and construction contractors, but also design and architecture companies, because we very much are on our way to include this stakeholder group in this process, in this development process as well. Then a few words of biowaste.
Sorry, Kimmo.
Yeah.
If you could wrap up in 1-2 minutes max, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
You might fall down. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Organic waste or bio-waste, there are 4 tasks which we are discussing and developing: quality assessment and business cases, and procurement guidelines for the products. Of course, collection and sorting processes for the bio-waste, where to collect, how to sort those items, and that, of course, treatment and final product optimization. And Mikkeli is a city of 53,000 inhabitants, so a small city, in the European scale, but very much wants to improve the recovery of nutrients and test those nutrients to be used to new products. And for example, biogas. There is a biogas project going on in Mikkeli. Okay, then there are also some photos and some stakeholder presentation, but I will skip this through. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for having me, and if you have time for some questions, I will be glad to answer.
Hopefully. Thank you very much, Kimmo. It's an honor to listen to the tallest exponent of the Mikkeli squad. Nice picture. Okay, I pass on to my colleague, Caitlin Dietz. She's working for the Sustainable Economy and Procurement team, and we'll talk about the CityLoops replication approach, the transfer of knowledge and experience. Caitlin, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Peter. Can you see the presentation?
All is perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. I'm happy to be here with you and to complement Kimmo's presentation to share the replication approach we are using in the CityLoops project. Now, an introduction has been given already, so I will just say that in implementing pilots of circular solutions for these two waste streams, we will be documenting the implementation process and then evaluating the success and impact of these, moving towards embedding, upscaling, and replicating these measures within the demonstrator cities, within their regions, and further across Europe. As said before, we have a variety of demonstrator cities in the project, 7 of them that range from the very north of Norway to the south of Spain, from the Atlantic coast of Portugal to southeastern Finland. So they're a diverse bunch, but what they have in common is that they are small to medium-sized cities, which is very representative of a European city. But these range from 50,000 to 600,000 inhabitants. Onto the replication approach. As said, we're looking to embed the measures locally and upscale them regionally. As Kimo pointed out, local stakeholder participation is paramount through all of the project processes. This includes waste managers, local business representatives, research institutions, and also civil society representatives. The approach to this varies across the cities in the project. In Kimo's case, in Mikkeli, they're having monthly meetings with the key stakeholders. And in other cases, they also have more public fora, such as city festival, where civilians can also take part, or online platforms for giving feedback and also sharing that are implemented, as well as more general awareness campaigns. And there are also forums of having more technical and professional inputs as kind of a sounding board for the implementation of these projects. And this stakeholder participation in the preparation and implementation of the pilots is seen as a key way to encourage buy-in of the local stakeholders and embed these processes from pilots into more standard operation models locally. There are also regional collaborative learning networks, and these are led by the demonstrators in each of their regions, and the type of participants in that could be other cities, public administrations, or relevant organizations relating to the management of the material flow in question in their territory. And they meet throughout the pilot implementation phase to develop a regional upscaling strategy using the expertise, the levers and spheres of influence of those taking part in the collaborative learning network. And the second pillar of the replication approach in CityLoops is to replicate Europe-wide. And this is looking to take the tools and learnings of CityLoops to other member states and regions. And the replication zones will follow the pilot implementation to learn firsthand, accompany the process as much as possible. And finally, they will be supported by the CityLoops project partners to develop and adopt these measures and learnings themselves. The replication zones we have in the project are on the screen here. We have 7 cities and regions on board, also representing some of the same member states with different regions. And all of these have shown a commitment to learning from the CityLoops project and working to the material loops for biowaste, construction and demolition waste themselves. The replication approach consists of the following. So within the demonstration phase of the project, we have really engaging and participatory process, the replication zones to follow and learn from the process as it happens, as the pilots are implemented. And then in the last year of the project, when we shift into the replication phase, there will be a focus on developing further those approaches in their own local territories and working towards a replication plan for each of them. In practice, with full details, this means, first of all, setting up a peer-to-peer exchange through twinning with a CityLoops city, so pairing a demonstrator city to a replicator city for an informal and regular communication line. There will also be update webinars for everyone in the project to follow the demonstrations step by step, pilots progress, and to learn from them and also impact how they are applied. And through the expert webinars set up around each topic, there can be topical exchanges on circular economy elements within these sectors. For example, in June, we have the expert workshop for circular construction, where we will focus on material passports. And finally, there will be funded travel again, so that the replication zones can see the pilots in action on the ground, the same in their place. Then in the replication phase, the last year of the project, workshop where the CityLoops project partners will come to them, and then will allow for local stakeholders in the replication zone, such as the waste managers, the local business representatives, the local university and whatnot, to also take part and have a say in how the CityLoops measures are adopted and adapted to the local context. And the final deliverable of this is a replication plan for each of the replicators of what circular economy actions they're going to take based on the learnings from taking part in the CityLoops project. And I would like to leave you a few reflections of my own on success, certainly about how we apply this in CityLoops and in circular economy pilot projects like PlastiCircle as well. I think it's clear that value added for both the demonstrator and the replicator. In the case of CityLoops, for the demonstrator, this is obviously in furthering the impact, in being able to get more testing of their tools and a wider outreach of the solutions that they've developed themselves, which means a more successful project in the end. And for the replicators, this is essentially the opportunity so that they don't have to repeat or reinvent the wheel, that they can rather learn from our gains and also make good use of the tools and methods that we've developed. Second, I think it's necessary to highlight the involvement of knowledge brokers. So in CityLoops, we have ICLE, who is coordinating the replication work and structuring it, but also support partners of the project that lead supporting work packages that are focused on cross-cutting circular economy aspects, such as urban metabolism studies or stakeholder engagement approaches or circular city indicators and circular procurement. And this kind of knowledge broker can be really useful in facilitating and structuring the transfer of knowledge between parties. Third, it's important to be using the right dissemination channels and to have the appropriate replicator profile. If we're trying to transfer knowledge from one party to another, as ICLE, for example, we are a network of municipalities. And so as CityLoops is a project of municipalities implementing a circular economy pilots, it's most suitable that we find replicators with a similar profile. So with a similar mandate and also governance structure, so that the learnings and the experiences of CityLoops cities be something that's relatable for them. Fourth, it's necessary to use an appropriate approach to bring the key partners together. In times of COVID, of course, but certainly it's an important point to have the right tools and forums to bring about dialogues. And you can see from the replication approach that we've developed that we have multiple elements for the transfer of knowledge, some more informal, some more experiential, some more structured in following and learning from something as it unfolds. And I think all of this is useful in ensuring that the learnings are taken up appropriately and to as big of an extent as possible. I think producing a 100-page report at the end and expecting that others replicate is not good enough. We need to take this kind of action to integrate others in the learning process, in the doing process along the way, to have a better chance of the measures being replicated. And finally, it's important to bear in mind the local contextual adaptation. Nobody expects a copy-paste from one site to another. Each pilot is different, each local context is different, even the way that local government or waste management functions can vary between member states. And so it's important to bear in mind what factors could vary between member states, and prepare the material and the documentation of the implementation process that we create in CityLoops to be wary of this and to take into account optimization of the content and of the replication approach to ensure its maximal feasibility for replication elsewhere in the EU. So these are just a few reflections that I hope you can think on as well, and we can discuss in the time remaining. With that, I invite you to follow the CityLoops project. As said, we are just getting started with implementation of the pilots. So please do jump on the website, social media. And thank you very much for the invitation and your attention.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. I don't want to waste time, so I go directly to the questions. There is one from Fiona, CSCP. The first one, were the replicator plans developed within the project lifetime? And second, and the actual replication was planned to be implemented after the project ended?
Yes, thanks for these, Fiona. So we actually just selected the replication zones in the past few months, and we are at the beginning of this process now as presented. So the replication plans will come at the end of the project, at the end of the replication phase of the project. And that's something that's incrementally worked towards throughout the coming months of collaboration between the demonstrator cities and replicator cities. So yes, the replication plans will be developed within the project lifetime, but not yet, more towards the end of the project. The actual replication, is it planned to be implemented during or after the project? This will depend on a case-by-case basis. Some of the replication zones have different starting points, and some of them certainly are working on similar things and can incorporate learnings to the projects that they have ongoing or planned in the shorter or midterm future, while others will wait until they have this replication plan and implement from there. Certainly many learnings of how to make a systemic approach to circular economy and to apply that to one waste stream can inform and also inspire action in other waste streams in the city. So we see a lot of scope for replication after the project lifetime and applicability of the knowledge gained also elsewhere.
Thank you. Indeed, I heard that some CityLoops replicators have already applied. What are their main points of interest?
Yes, well, I know there are some of them here today, so if they would like to speak, they're certainly welcome to jump in. But from what we've heard from them so far, there's a lot of interest in urban metabolism studies and urban metabolism approaches, as well as in the monitoring of the circular economy. So in the indicator set and evaluation framework that we've developed within CityLoops. I would say there's also a lot of interest in business cases and developing revalorization opportunities for making a positive business case so that exclusive innovation funding is not needed every time for these, and that the innovative waste collection routes can also serve for creation of new products and for stimulation of a local circular economy and business.
Thanks, Caitlin. Maybe a last question to you, Kimmo, from the Micheli squad. What can other Finnish and Nordic cities learn from the approach Micheli is taking? What would you say? And do you think is the good practice that you are doing? Do you think this is working more in the north, or is that really something, or is there something that you would say this is really different from, let's say, Southern European countries or Eastern European countries?
Well, Peter, that's a very good question. What other cities can learn from us? We don't know yet. we are in the beginning of the process, and we are developing the tools and measures and instruments, and we will see what the results are. But certainly we think that during the demonstration process, as we go on a few months further, maybe half a year, 8 months, we will have something to show. So unfortunately, to answer to your question honestly, I don't know yet. But regarding to those measures and instruments and tools which I mentioned, we hope that we have something to share.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, or who would like to pose the last golden question of today? Then please have them in the chat. Let's wait a minute. If there are no further questions, I would like also to inform you that PlastiCircle will host 3 other replicability workshops in Italy on the 13th of May in Italian, and in the UK on the week of the 17th. You can get more information on the Twitter account at Circ Economy. And I think we are at the end. It's far too short. So many also interesting examples, and the topic is so relevant, particularly now with so many challenges. But it's amazing, and it shows also the interest in this session. You know, with around 90 registered participants, shows the interest, but also the fact that there are replicators. So I would like to thank all of you for participating, for the speakers to sharing their good practice examples. Anyway, through the project and the contacts and my colleagues, you can keep in touch, continue posing questions. And as you have seen, the interest is also that the community is growing, that there are replicators, so please get in touch. Thanks a lot for your good work. I wish you a good continuation of the day today. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.